weather, and it's time for another Friday morning Weather Wonders video. A reminder that for these videos, it is only made possible by the very generous contribution of TD, Friends of the Environment Foundation. They make lots of great environmental work possible across Canada. A big thank you to them. And we're going to get started with our topic. Today we're going to talk a little bit about how these native plants help with our rainfall extremes. So how can you tell what's a lot of rain and what's not enough rain? To get started for today, we're just going to go over two big words for the day, and that is drought and flooding. So these words, good words to know. There's nothing scary about these words. Drought just means that over a long period of time, we don't have as much rain as we need. For flooding, it means we have more rain than we need, and we have more water than we necessarily know what to do with. Well, sometimes in Windsor, we get a lot of rain in a really short amount of time, and you see it sometimes pooling on the sides of the roads, and our drains get very high, and you see a lot of water. A good way to tell how much water we're actually getting when it rains is to have a rain gauge. So these can be quite simple. Some of them are more exact than others. If you want the most basic rain gauge, I would suggest just going into your kitchen cabinet and grabbing a measuring cup and putting this outside while it rains, and it will tell you either in cups or liters / milliliters how much rain fell. And if you're really ambitious, you can get a clock and see how much rain fell over how much time to see whether it was a lot of rain or a little bit of rain. And that's a really great activity that you can do all the time, ongoing, by just leaving a rain gauge, such as this measuring cup, in your garden. In our Good Friends garden, we try to have native plants because they're the best plants for dealing with the local weather. That is, the weather that we typically get in this area. So this is a good chance to ask your little ones, what do you think our usual weather is? And maybe they'll say, we usually get a lot of rain. Or maybe in the summer they say it's usually so hot, or the winters are usually so cold. And this is just an example of asking your children about what they think the usual weather is, or in other words, our climate. For our native plants, they're very well adapted to this climate. So for droughts, the really strong root systems in these native plants, such as our black-eyed Susans over here, make them really good for droughts because they can hold on a long time if we don't get enough water, like in July and August when it gets hot, and sometimes there are weeks where there's no rain. For those days and those weeks, kind of like this week where we got a lot of rain and we're looking at maybe some potential for flooding, these plants are very good at absorbing a lot of water in a short period of time and helping keep that water off of our roads, away from our houses, and in the ground to nourish our native plants. For our native plants, native plant just means it's a plant that's been always in this area. Just like people move around from here to there, sometimes plant species can move to areas that they weren't originally in. So now that we've learned a little bit about native plants and how they help with rainfall extremes, I have two activities for you and your children to try at home this week to learn a little bit more about native plants and how they help with our rainfall. For our first activity, I have a drought-tolerant plant scavenger hunt. And if you've done our Connections to Go packages, you know we love scavenger hunts because they get you and your children out and exploring our local ecosystem. And this one is specific to drought-tolerant plants that are native to the area. So for this one, if you don't have access to a garden space at home, that's okay. We're going to include the link to this scavenger hunt below, and you're going to take it out with you next time you guys are out on a walk, and you're going to look for 5 different species of native plants. And to look for these 5 plants, such as our purple cone flowers, which we have over here. We have butterfly weed, which is bright orange. We have also in our Good Friends garden, black-eyed Susans, we've already taken a look at. Blazing stars, which were a new addition to our Good Friends garden last year. And yarrow, which you find kind of popping all over and fun little surprises all over our community. It has these feathery leaves that are quite fun. So this is a good scavenger hunt to do with your children because it does come with the brightly colored photos that will help them recognize these flowers and match them, as well as a great, sort of jumping off point to talk about, again, what do native plants do Why are they so beneficial to our environment? While you're doing the scavenger hunt, you might find some beautiful butterflies because all of these plants are also wonderful pollinator plants as well. For our second activity to help us learn about how native plants help with these rainfall extremes, we're going to be planting some native plants today. So for native plants, like I said earlier, they're really good at being strong when there's a drought and there's not enough water for them, but they're also good at absorbing a lot of water in a short period of time, like when we get too much rain. To do our planting, we have some native species right here. We have our New England aster, our yarrow, which we saw in our scavenger hunt, as well as an East Hyssop, which has these lovely blooms that you might have seen out in your community as well. For this, it's almost going to be like a little bit of an ecosystem in this bucket. So because this bucket has no holes, it doesn't drain very well, and that's why these plants are so important to absorbing this water. Just like your front lawn has one of those areas that always seems to collect water, that's okay. Plants are going to help absorb it. So if I can get my shovel, we're going to be putting in these plants, and there's so many different ways you can get native plants. You could buy them at a nursery, but you can also just do some seed sharing out with people in your community. Milkweed seeds, several times Connection has handed out other seeds as well, so keep your eyes open for a chance to get your hand on some native seeds. It can be planted either in the garden or in containers. You're going to get your plant, just massage its roots a little bit to get it ready to go in the ground, and we're going to stick it in and cover its roots back up. And we're going to do the same thing with our other plants. This is a fun activity with your little ones because they can pick the species of plant that is the most appealing to them. Also, they get to see all the different root systems going on. So see these great New England aster roots? They look very strong. They look like they're ready to handle anything our weather can throw at them. So we're going to get them in the ground, get some soil around them, and add our yarrow. This yarrow has already bloomed. This year it'll come back bigger and brighter than before. Depending on where you live, there'll be different types of native plants that are native to your area. So quick Google search will always tell you what some of those plants are. Just because what's native here in southwestern Ontario and the Essex County region is not necessarily native where you live. So it's always a fun learning experience for you and your little ones to see what grows where you live. So we have our plants in here. They are all packed nice and tight in the soil. Now imagine we get a good rainstorm right now, which doesn't look like it's gonna happen, so we're gonna use a jug of water. But you would pour all this rainfall in. And a fun activity is for you and your little ones to watch and see how long before all of this water gets absorbed up into the plants. And I think some people might be amazed by how quickly that actually happens. This was our second activity for our video on extreme rainfall. So I hope you enjoyed it. I hope you give it a try. And if not, we also have our scavenger hunt that you can go out and look for native plants in our community. So many options to get out and learn about the weather and the plants that we have here in Essex County. And again, I want to thank everyone for watching. A quick reminder that there is a draw for a Weather Wonders bag that will be happening Thursday of each week. We'll be drawing 2 names of people who have emailed us or sent in some kind of either image or story about enjoying some of these weather activities with your little ones. Your names will be entered into a draw to receive one of 2 weekly Weather Wonders bags that have free resources, a weather-related book, and some also other amazing activities for you to enjoy at home. So reach out to us, let us know how you're enjoying this video series and some of the activities that you're doing at home. And hopefully we will see everyone again for next week's Weather Wonder videos. So thank you for watching, and thank you for connecting with us. Bye for now.